the secret societies, the secret oaths, and the secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific caste system.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air.
Long time no see.
We shall never surrender.
Good day, everybody. This is UCY.tv with the Solvinur Event. It's the 27th of August 2016, 4 p.m. in the Netherlands, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am the Dutch host that has taken over the American airwaves for 2 hours without interruption of any ads. Welcome everybody. Today I have a guest, Virstyne Henry, musician. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
You're okay. You mean you're okay? Not like spectacular?
No, not like spectacular. I actually had to call in sick this week for work, but we're going to work again Monday. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah. That's good. Well, yeah. Hi, everybody. Nice to be on the show.
Yeah, welcome. It's good to have you on. I heard you yesterday at Jules' show also. So I figured maybe you want to join me also for some time. People can go to the chat room if they like at ucy.tv. You can find a chat link. There's a couple of people there already. Captain Gringo, Grammy Mary, welcome. Grump, Jane, Juana Taco, Jules, but I think she's AFK. Matty Clues, hey buddy. How you doing? Surely you just... then me and Vincent just entered the room. Welcome everybody.
Hey everybody.
Yeah, this is strange. Vince is asking about the audio, but I doubt it. He can't get it. I'm quite sure we're on air, so let me know in the chat if things are fine. So usually, Virstyne, I talk about things that are, not necessarily related to anything newsworthy. Or the usual topics like vaccines, for instance. I've never even touched that subject on air. But I do think we also have some similarities. Jules told me you like Indian philosophy. Is that correct?
A little bit. I don't know a lot. I'm just kind of starting to study it right now. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sticking my toe in. I do know a lot about vaccines, though. That's kind of, I don't know if you want to talk about that on the show.
No. That's totally up to you. I always start out the radio, and by the way, you can call in 718-717-8296 by saying that these 2 hours is for you guys, for the people listening. You should be making radio. I think that the level is much higher than on ABC or CNN, no matter who calls in,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. I came on. I think you heard me too because I was on Ju's show promoting my music, and then I think we segued into vaccines because that was my kind of awakening to a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world today, and It was a huge paradigm shift for me, and that was, interestingly enough, it was kind of the thing that brought me back to doing music. So, I mean, I don't know where you want to start. I can talk about my journey and from, kind of being asleep, so to speak, and then, waking up and maybe I talk about like what it is to be an artist in this day and age when you're awake, quote unquote, and how that is, and you can talk about vaccines and other things. Like I'll talk about anything, as long as I know what I'm talking about a little bit. So, yeah. So I'm from Los Angeles, and I pursued acting for a while in Los Angeles, and I decided that wasn't for me. And Hollywood is it's a very strange place. It's you have people coming from all over the world, with stars in their eyes, hoping to become famous, and there are a lot of people that either stay and become broken or leave and become broken. If that makes sense, Well, A, it's very competitive, and then B, just the constant rejection, that you're facing, can really wear on your spirit. And then in addition to that, there are people that are in power that do take advantage of people that are coming in, because when you come to Los Angeles to pursue any form of entertainment, a lot of these people, they don't have support systems. They've left their family and friends at home, and they don't, so it's easy for them, especially if they're really young, it's easy for them to get, wrapped up in stuff like drugs, pornography, or cults, or anything like that.
Okay, you were born in where, did you say?
Oh, Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Oh,
LA.
wow, I've been there once. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've been there once. That city made such an impression on me. I was walking down these city streets, and I look up to one building, and I was like, wow, this thing isn't gonna topple over me, is it? It's like, wow.
Where when did you go?
Sorry, what?
When did you go to Los Angeles?
Oh, that must have been around 1979.
Oh, wow.
No. I was born in the Netherlands, in Arnhem. I was born in a pretty bad neighborhood, actually. All I had to do was step outside, and the hookers were staring me in the face, so.
I have a question. Do you have gangs in the Netherlands? Do you have any kind of gangs, like street gangs?
Gangs?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure in Amsterdam there is an underground black market, so to speak. Arnhem, the city I live in, is known as a criminal capital. We are the capital of our province, so to speak, and it's known as a criminal city. So, yeah, there are gangs. I've met a few of them on the wrong side because they were busting the shop that I was working in.
Oh, wow.
And but I think those are like small bands of people, not hugely organized. Yeah, that's the idea I get, but I'm totally unknowledgeable on that topic, to be honest with you.
Okay, but you grew up in a kind of a sketchy, rough neighborhood, huh? I did too. That's what I was asking.
It actually, the neighborhood that I grew up in was known in New York. It's called the Spijkerbuurt, and that name was even known in New York. So you could kind of guess the kind of people that were walking around those streets, criminals all over the place.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I grew up in South Central. Have you heard of South Central LA?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Koreatown for the first 7. Now they call it Koreatown, but when I was growing up there, it was really a place where a lot of immigrants came to just settle. So it was a neighborhood. A lot of my friends were either straight from their country or first generation, American. And we were 8. I moved to South Central, and it's pretty notorious. That's where all the gangs are, and criminals, and quote unquote.
Yeah.
Well, not all the criminals, but I'm just saying because they're there are a lot of criminals and white collar criminals as well. But
Yeah.
when people hear South Central, they think of gangs and drive-bys and stuff like that.
Yeah. When I
And,
think of gangs, I'm more thinking like the people in Den Haag here in the Netherlands or in Washington D.C. or in the United States.
Yeah. They're gangs too. Believe you me, they are. But I guess what was I gonna say? So yeah, I actually lived through the L.A. riots. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I was a kid when that happened, but that was pretty surreal and pretty scary. And I remember there were so many fires that it was just ash was just falling from the sky.
Wow.
The sun looked red. So from a kid's point of view, and I was technically, I'm not super religious now, but I was raised Catholic.
Mhm.
So from, when you're thinking about like the book of Revelations and you see like the sun is red and the sky is like, ashes is falling from the sky. From my perspective, I was like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. And then they calmed it down and they sent the National Guard. So we had people walking around our neighborhood with like rifles. And it was really like creepy, and it was like it was similar to images of that I've seen in third world countries. So as a kid, I'm thinking, this is never going to end. I'm like, is this going to be my life now? Am I going to have to, be walking around, everywhere I go, and there are going to be people with rifles, in the neighborhood, and when you're a kid, you don't really have a concept of time, and you're just thinking, or really what's going on, and it's maybe even more dramatic than it seems. But I think a lot of adults were scared as well.
Yeah.
And we had a curfew, so basically, technically, I would say we were under martial law. Now that I wouldn't have used that term then to describe it, but now that I look back, it was total martial law.
Yeah, I heard about it, but I actually don't know what started it. What was the thing that made this happen? Do you know?
Yeah, it was a factor of things, but I think that the straw that broke the camel's back was the Rodney King.
The what?
It was the Rodney King incident.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, I'm totally unaware.
It's great. Like, I don't mind. I love telling people stuff they don't know, and
Sure.
and also learning stuff I don't know. So I can So yeah, there was first of all, there was a couple of guys that had just gotten off of who were accused of murder, and they were in jail for 17 years, and then they were just released. And then to top that off, there was another there was an incident called the Latasha Harlins incident, where there was a Korean grocer and a girl who was black who got into an argument, and it was caught on videotape. And the girl, is yelling at her, and I think she reaches over the counter and shakes her, but she doesn't have any weapons, and she's leaving the store. And as the girl's leaving the store, the Korean owner, pulls out a gun and shoots her in the head and kills her.
Wow.
On tape. So then the main thing, though, was, the Rodney King incident, which was, this is when, people were just starting to record brutality beatings with their cameras. So this is one of the first big incidences in America that got video footage, and it got news coverage where these policemen basically beat this man. He was handcuffed on the floor, and they just start stomping on him and wailing on him. They take out their billy clubs and they're just beating him. And he's no threat to him because he's on the floor and he's handcuffed, but they're just bailing on him. And they were all white officers, and somebody caught this on tape. Somebody was hiding, and they had a video camera, and they were able to record it. So they sent it into the news. They got news coverage, and I think a lot of people at the time, they were like, finally, we have something on tape, because a lot of people complain about police brutality, and people. A lot of people don't believe it because, they're not that violent, or maybe they're not racist, and they're like, oh, that's far-fetched, or, oh, come on, that doesn't happen. Cops just don't beat people just for, shits and giggles. So this trial, so these 4 policemen were on trial, and this trial went on for a year. and when the year was over, they were all acquitted.
Oh, wow.
And you can probably, I mean, later if you want, or anybody wants to, you can probably, do a YouTube search for Rodney King police beating video and see the video or the ride. So then after that, people just went crazy. And most people weren't out looting.
You mean after the police got acquitted, they went crazy?
After.
So there's a year going on, nothing going on, and then all of a sudden it breaks loose because these cops got off scot-free.
Yeah, they got off scot-free. So, people were waiting because a lot of people thought that these cops were going to go to jail because there was evidence of them on videotape, and they got acquitted. But living there, you see blacks and Latinos looting, but there were other people from even well-to-do areas coming into the neighborhoods and looting, and but so there was a lot of looting, and people were burning businesses on fire. I mean, there were just
odd,
fires.
right? If you are mad because I don't know who decided that, the jury or the judge?
We mean the acquitted?
Yeah.
I think the jury. It was.
The jury.
It was. I think they acquitted. They were all let off. So I don't know. And I don't know what it is about human beings. Sometimes when people are frustrated, they just there's some people that they I don't know. They just
I guess we have to let go of common sense at that point, right?
Yeah. Just pure emotion, no logic, and and people went crazy. And my mom had me and my brother, so we were by ourselves, and in our apartment. And then my dad had a business, and he was away from us. So looking back on it, I think my mom must have been terrified. But she kept her cool. She didn't show us she was scared, but I'm sure she was scared, And my dad actually had a gun, and that was really the way that he was able to fend off people. And he didn't have to shoot anybody, but, just shooting the gun in the air, letting people know that you have a gun, will keep people from breaking into your house or breaking into your business. Because, I mean, it was just madness. Yeah. It was just madness, So my mom and my brother and I were just in our apartment, for days, and it was really traumatic experience time.
Hey, I pasted a link in the chat a while ago. VirstyneHenry.com. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's my music page.
Yeah. How does that work? What can you tell me about the page?
Oh, okay. So I think I was rambling a little bit. I was going to tell you how I came back to music because
sure. Tie this up anywhere you like. There's no problem.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll just promote the music page for a minute, and then I can go back to that story. But it's VirstyneHenry.com. I've released 3 singles. 2 of them I would say have truther-esque themes. Breakaway, which was really inspired by people, how we're all just kind of cubicle slaves, and not all, but a huge majority of the people, we have these jobs or 9-to-5 jobs that we go to that a lot of people don't like being in, and they kind of slave away in like little boxes. The first lyric of the song starts off as little boxes. They're closing us in from the sky from our lyrical lives, and the clock says this is how you survive 9 to 5 for the rest of your life. So it's like and then it's one song, but it's kind of a 2-part song, so that the energy of the song kind of changes. One half is like that, and the second half it kind of talks about, because we're unhappy, we get into addiction. We're addicted to things that are maybe unhealthy for us. Whether, I'm not specific in the song about what that addiction is, but it could be anything from, drugs to bad relationships to food, anything that's basically, detrimental to us. And when faced with that, are you going to break away? You have a choice to either break away from it or stay in it. And what are you going to do about that? So I also have. He's also one of my best friends. Narciso Palma did the artwork, and we have these posters that we're selling that's going along with the song. So if you look when you go to the page and scroll down, you can see, and I have lyrics to the songs that are on the page accompanying the posters. And he did this amazing artwork. But for Breakaway, if you look in Breakaway, you can see, it's very detailed, and it's a lot of stories going on. So there are people walking around with like balls and chains on their feet. And we decided that the bigger the chain, the bigger the ball on the person's foot, the more kind of like enslaved you are to the system. And then, it has these people lining up to go into the factory or job, wherever job they work. But it looks like they're just kind of like on a conveyor belt. And it says, "Live the American Dream." And you have six men in the building that are representative of the 6 corporations that supposedly, run the world. When you condense everything, so there's a lot of meaning in this picture. There's like a World Bank, and there's like a Wally World that's really supposed to be representative of Walmart, and it's a place that says "Controlled substances are us," talking about the pharmaceutical industry. And then we have Monsanto, of course, for Monsanto, and McPoison for McDonald's. And you have all these people that are just walking around, and if you look closely, there's a lot of detail. You can see a lot of stories going on, a lot of things happening in the picture. Then if you look up, there's a plane circling, spraying like chemtrails or whatever, and then there are people that are actually have kind of chosen to be awake or to get out of the system, and they have balloons, so they're like escaping out of this hell through balloons. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, very good. So I saw Control also standing there way on the left.
Controlled substances.
Controlled substances.
Are us. If you zoom in, if you go to the shop page where we're selling the posters, you can actually zoom in and you can get a closer look, and you should be able to read the writings on the buildings a little more. So,
Breakaway, it's called.
Yeah, that's the artwork for Breakaway, and then the other Truth or S song is called Authority, and talking about kind of treating authority as a relationship that you're leaving, right? Like if being in an abusive relationship. So I don't know whether it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or whether it's a parent, or whether it's the government. It can be applied to a lot of things, and leaving it. So what we decided was there's how people talk about being asleep, and they refer to people being asleep as being sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this little brown sheep that's finally awake, and we kind of made it like a They Live meets Animal Farm. Have you ever seen They Live?
They Live, yeah.
Yeah, with the glasses, with the shades.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, so the artist that did the artwork, he hadn't seen the movie, and I was explaining him the concept of what I was thinking, and he had never seen it, and he saw it, and he just like fell in love with it. He's like, it's one of my favorite movies now. Yeah. So we did these things where it's a little bit, comical, but these animals, they have the shades that are making them, awake and making them, see the truth, and they've taken over the farm, and they're about to, burn the farmer. These snakes have him tied up, and they're about to put this farmer into the fire. And but you can see the reflection of what's going on in the glasses of the sheep, and he's just watching, and thinking that the farmer's getting what he deserves, with this kind of smirk on his face. So, and one of the lyrics of that song goes, "All all of the slaves below you, there was no one above you, but now I know who you are, and my mind ain't thinking of you. So.
All right, should I spell that out for people, the website, so they know for sure where to go?
Oh yeah, that would be great.
It's virstynehenry.com. That's VirstyneNehry.com. Yep. I think it looks good. Yep. Looks nice.
yeah. I'm so proud of my friend. He's just realizing how talented he is. He's very, very. I mean, he does all kinds of art too. He just not only does he do illustration, but he does photography and editing, and you know, he's a painter as well, and he's phenomenal.
Yeah, I see some things that are attracting to me, like there's in the front of you there's lies, for instance, and there's this chain that you talked
about. The picture. I forgot about the picture. Yeah, we talked about that too. So we're talking about like how, you know, people are. He has these series of shirts that he designed. And can I curse on here? I'm not going to curse a lot, but
no, you're allowed to say anything.
Okay, I just want to be respectful.
That's okay.
Yeah, but he has these series of shirts that he sells called "Fuck a 9 to 5," and in addition to that, he also does screen printing. So he has a whole like screen printing studio with traditional screen printing, and he makes T-shirts. So he designed these T-shirts, and they say "Fuck a 9 to 5," and every time he wears that shirt, people come up to him and they're like, "Where did you get that shirt? It's amazing." People from all walks of life, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all races. So, you know, I think a lot of people are very moved by that. They're really frustrated with this whole, you know, concept of having a 9 to 5. Yeah. And just feeling trapped. And, you know, not only are you're at your job, you know, from 9 to 5, but you're, you know, depending on where you live, you're traveling 1 to 2 hours a day in traffic to and from work. Maybe more.
Yeah, not only that, you know, if you compare that to the hours of work that our Stone Age predecessors had to do, you know, it's really laughable.
Yeah, I know. It's insane, you know, and it's so funny. When I was kind of thinking about concepts, I came across this it was like a blog, and she only had a couple of, she posted it up like a few years ago, but she only had a couple of posts. But it was a blog called Cubicle Slaves, and she was talking about, I was like, yes, like I totally feel this lady, you know. And so we talked about this whole idea of living in a cubicle, but still, you know, or being in this job where you feel trapped, but you know, still finding your joy. So we had this amazing friend, or his roommate actually has this piano that was pink, and I was like, oh, could we use it? And then we built these cubicle walls, and then I wanted to put all kinds of like you know, things representing, you know, what it was like to kind of be an artist, but still having to choose between this world of artistry and also, you know, having to survive and work in a job that you're unhappy with. So, you know, we're talking about just the system. We're making a commentary on the system, and at the top you see lies. You see loans. There's a guy that has a ball on chain on his foot, a grad student, and it says loan, but he's like a slave, basically, you know, a slave to debt. And what else? We had some fillers. You can't see everything. We had the top. There's like, I don't know if you can see that one. An eye. I'm kind of representing, you know, the system and people at the top.
Is that above the Vitruvian Man?
It is on the left side.
The Vitruvian Man, or however you call that, right of the lies, that's the highest I can see. Next to the yin yang and the swastika there.
Oh, okay. So No, it's on the right side. It's at the top. Depending on maybe your computer, there's some things that are cut off. But do you see the little sign on the left side that says Big Brother? It's orange. It's only orange when it has like a camera. If you can zoom in on it, it says Big Brother's watching. And then,
okay, yeah.
yeah, there's like above that, there's like a mechanical eye, and then there's to the right of that, there's like a hand. I don't know if you can see the whole thing, but it's a hand that's being basically, scanned into a machine.
Mm-hmm.
Just commenting how we're being, turned into robots and slaves. Then below that is 12 Years a Cubicle Slave. Have you ever seen the movie 12 Years a Slave? We got the font for that, but instead of 12 Years a Slave, you just inserted cubicle, cubicle slave. And then just some other pictures, and the top of that, it says "Do not obey," because they have that. I don't know if you've seen the artwork that says "obey." And
it does. Do not obey, exactly.
Yeah. And then in They Live, I think when he puts on the glasses, he sees that thing that says "obey,"
Yeah.
But instead of "obey," we put like "do not obey," and then. As if you can look closely, you can see that the artwork that's below the picture, they're actually pictures of the artwork in the cubicles, like the sheep.
Yeah, I see on the left there, next to the piano.
The sheep and the breakaway, the All Alone Here single, and then there's barcodes, and I think what else do we have in there? The Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The one next to my head at the top is the Falun Gong symbol. Have you heard of Falun Gong?
No. What's that?
It's a philosophy, and it's in it's really popular in it's popular all over the world, but in China people are actually getting executed, and basically they just practice truth, compassion, and just kindness, right? But so it's interesting, any of your listeners, and you later if you want to, you can also probably do a search for Falun Gong or Falun Dafa. And if you're familiar with David Icke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talked about it in his lectures, but it was something that kept coming into my space. So I'm just the type of person, if something keeps coming into my space, then I think I take it as a sign that maybe I need to look into it. So I was listening to one of his lectures a long time ago, and he was talking about it and how people are getting basically executed in China for practicing it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I just had a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't really think about it. So then, and this is when I'm still living in LA, so I'm walking down the street, and in front of the Men's Chinese Theater, there are these people that are, have these signs up about Falun Gong. And I was like, wow, maybe, I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. David Icke was talking about that, and still, like, I didn't think about it. So then later I go and see this it's like this Asian dance show called Shin Yun, and its main purpose was to make people aware of Falun Gong or Falun Dafa and what's going on with China and the crimes against humanity that's going on there. So anyway, when it was introduced, at first, the government in China was like, yeah, it's a good thing. It's, it's caused people to be, very, they're organizing and they're becoming hard workers, and, we really like it. So they endorsed it, and then people started to question things, and they didn't like that. So now they've started to kill people for practicing it. But it's gone underground, and even people in the government have started to practice Falun Gong, and it's basically like meditation and kind of going inward. And I mean, I'm just trying. There's more to it than that. It's just I'm trying to summarize it, but
okay.
But yeah. So people, and what's really horrid is they basically have been harvesting people's organs.
Yeah, I heard those stories.
Yeah, and a lot of the organ harvesters, or a lot of the organs that they've harvested, have been people who practice Falun Dafa or Falun Gong. So a lot of people specifically request people that that have practicing Falun Gong. So a lot of times they'll arrest these people that are practicing Falun Gong or Falun Dafa. They'll put them in camps, and when they have a request for an organ transplant, they'll basically take them and kill them. And what's even more disturbing is that they don't use anesthesia.
Huh.
They'll just basically tie them down and cut off their organs because the government considers them criminals anyway. So why medicate them? Too bad. And the thing is that they'll offer them the chance to sign a waiver saying that they will never practice Falun Dafa again, but a lot of these people don't sign the waivers. So then they'll kill them, and they'll register them as death by suicide, because in their eyes they killed themselves because they had a chance to quote unquote, I guess, redeem themselves, and they chose not to. So they label it as suicide.
Wow.
Very, very disturbing. So the swastika too is something that before Hitler got a hold of it, it's something that was actually it's been found in cultures all over the world. And I lived in Taiwan for 2 years. So when I first got there, and I was like, what's going on with all the swastikas? So basically it's just a sign of auspiciousness. Or this is Asian, maybe I'm being general, but when I talk to people about it in Taiwan, they believe that it's a sign of auspiciousness and prosperity and goodness. And in the yin and yang. So Falun Dafa took the swastika in the middle, and then they have 4 swastikas and 4 yin and yang symbols around it in a circle, and that's their symbol. So, I mean, I highly suggest your listeners look up Falun Dafa, and if they are Falun Gong, it's spelled it's spelled Falun, one word, and then Dafa, Dafa, or Falun, one word, Gong.
Yeah.
And resources and books are free if you want to learn about it. But I think maybe you should, and because of what I was talking about, if you want to, get more into it, there are a few documentaries on YouTube that talk about the abuse that these people receive, and it's just unreal. I can't imagine living in a place like that. Even though America is starting to become like that, I think we're starting to lose a lot of our freedoms, which is very, very scary.
Yeah. So you mentioned cubicle a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
I see a yin-yang symbol there. I also see triangles here and there at the top of the page. The one with starts at the right. I don't know exactly what it is, but
okay. I see. It's like a rainbow.
Yeah, that one. So that's a triangle.
Yeah. That is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, and I've heard of those. Yeah. And then beneath the Y from Henry, you have a triangle with a circle above it.
Let me see.
See, there's.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You can't really see that because of the font, and it really wasn't that for me. That wasn't any type of symbolism. It's basically just a guy running in a wheel like a hamster.
Oh, like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you can kind of see his legs
anyway,
at the bottom.
that's still a triangle and a circle.
Yeah,
And
I guess
I
so.
was
Yeah.
studying geometry last couple of weeks a little, and I found that there is links between geometry and music.
I've heard that too, and I want to learn more about that sacred geometry. And I've seen some actually YouTube videos about that. And I actually got a few books on sacred geometry because of my friend that I was talking about that does the artwork. He's actually been mentoring me with art because I really would like to get better with drawing and learning art, because I understand how powerful it is, and just being in social media and seeing what people are doing with memes and everything, it's just I'm like, God, if I knew how to draw, I have this idea that I want to express, and we're so, we're living in a time where the information there's so much information, and people are, a lot of people, unless you're a true truth seeker, aren't willing to, really delve deep and read and do a lot of things. So I've been, really thinking about ways to get simple ideas across to people. And one of the ways to do that is through music and art. And art, and even more so visually, because, you don't have to speak a language, but you can draw a few things, or you can, visually people will understand things faster. It's another language, It's one of the universal languages, I would say, art.
Yeah, I'll paste the link in the chat. I'll also give it to you. This is where I got my latest information from when it comes to sacred geometry. It's sacredgeometryinternational.com, and it's run, as far as I know, by a guy who claims to be a Freemason. His name is Randall Carlson. I just pasted it in your private Skype there, if you can find it.
You.
And he explained that, well, actually he didn't explain this, what I'm going to tell you, but he probably knows, that geometry and music are two of the quadrivium. Have you heard of the quadrivium?
Yes, I have a lot of books I need to get to. I actually bought a book on the trivium and the quadrivium.
Wow, fantastic.
But I mean, I have so much reading, Solvinur. I'm trying to get to it. I bought a compass and everything because I really want to. I see, like, I know a very little bit about it, but the little bit that I've seen has been, like, extremely fascinating to me, and I'm like, I have to learn more about this. So
you should start indeed with the trivium. I've done a whole series of broadcasts on it in the past. If you check out Solvinur on YouTube, especially with Gino Denning and Jan Irvin, you will get a very good introduction in what the trivium is. You can let that sink in for a while, and then get on to the quadrivium, which is I thought it was so much more fascinating than I had ever suspected before, because of this Randall Carlson that explains that in the quadrivium, he doesn't explain this, but he probably knows. In the quadrivium, the part of the geometry is the fifth one. It comes after the fourth, which comes after the trivium. The fourth is number, and that's number in itself. And the fifth is geometry, which is number in space, right? And the next one is music, which is number in time, and then astronomy, which is number in time and space. But Randall explains that geometry actually also has things to say about time. So it's not only a number in space, there's more to it. And because this time is added, the music comes into play with geometry. And then you find that with the different sound vibrations, you can create all these kinds of shapes on a steel plate that has sand on it, and you attach a violin to it, for instance.
That. Yeah, and it would make shapes.
Yeah.
Depending on the frequency.
Yep.
I've seen that, yes.
Yeah. So you see that sound is obviously tied to the different kinds of shapes that we find.
Yes, and I think that's one of the ideas too behind mantras, in Indians. Well, I think not just Indian philosophy, but like with they believe that certain frequencies, you make certain sounds, certain frequencies will manifest certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and he also very nicely, in my opinion anyway, ties mythology to geometry. And how does he do that? Because, well, he says that and I must agree with him, knowing what I know about mythology, that a lot of these stories are tied to the heavens, right?
Yeah.
But the heavens is what you see when you look up in the sky at night. We're talking about celestial signs like, what do you got? Waterman, stier, I'm talking in Dutch now because what is it in English?
It's okay.
Capricorn and what is it, fish? What do you call that? Pisces?
Pisces.
Yeah, all those ages, right? And they turn out in this what's called a great year, which is 25,920 years. All of these 12 signs will have passed, you know? That takes that long a time. And it's separated into also 4 seasons. Just like we separate 1 year in 4 seasons, same goes for this great big year, is also separated in 4 seasons and 12 months, like you have 12 signs in the sky. See, that's how he ties all of these things together. It's really amazing. I really suggest people check out this website, sacredgeometryinternational.com. There's lots of stuff available besides the stuff you must buy if you want to know more. Yeah.
I definitely will check that out. I bought that Trivium book by Sister Miriam Joseph. I bought that.
Fantastic.
That's the one I bought. And then and it's fascinated me. She's just like a nun that like translated this stuff. I mean, I have that one, and then I got the Quadrivium through. It's like the Treehouse books. But I think I really can't wait to delve. I think I'm gonna start getting into that at the end of this year. But you know, Solvinur, do you ever like look at this stuff and think that we've devolved once you learn more about this stuff? I feel like that sometimes. The more I learn about like the ancient medicine and ancient, you know, philosophy and stuff like the trivium, I feel like we've kind of devolved as a society in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I think
externally we have all of these gadgets that you know are make us look pretty, but as far as like or that looks pretty and cool on the outside, but you know, I think we've really devolved.
I think that has to do with the prevailing philosophy that has ruled Western society for the last, well, I guess 300 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, well, it's thank God for the internet. Like, I'm very grateful to the internet every day, you know, because it's really given the human race a platform and a way to come back to a lot of this information that has been, you know, hidden from us or taken from us. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, there's so much information out there. It's very, you know, really, it's no excuse to be ignorant. You know.
No, if you want to know things, you can find stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Randall, just to continue on with his talk, what he's talking about a bit to get people interested. He also talks about the time when there was an ice age and all of Canada was covered in, I think he said it was a mile thick ice, and parts of North America, this period, this ice age period, and he talks about what the scientists say. You know, he doesn't claim to be a scientist himself. He's an architectural designer. He's not an architect. I made the mistake last time I talked about him. But he talks about celestial events that have shaped the earth but also the history of mankind, because he points out very correctly that the history that we have, the written history that we have, goes back about 5,000 years. The history that we can talk about when we're talking about the agriculture and the first towns being built is about 9,000 to 10,000 years ago. And he says the further back than that, you know, it's very, very hard to get evidence of human beings creating a culture or some kind of society or whatever they did. And he says that's odd because we have been walking around this earth as we are now for about 200,000 years. So one would suggest that, we're missing about 80 to 90% of our history.
Yeah, in so many areas too.
Yeah, and he says that that might have been, and I'm gonna agree with him, that this could have been made because of the meteor impacts that Earth has gotten. And it's probably true that the chances of us getting hit by a meteor are much higher than we once thought. Do you know that one exploded over Russia just 2 years ago?
Oh, wow. It exploded before it impacted?
It exploded in the air. I think it was 5 miles that they said, because this one wasn't really big. I think it was like 50 foot or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you should check it out. If you Google dashcam Russia meteor, you can find it coming in from all kinds of angles, and it's really a sight to behold. But if that thing had been a little bit more dense or a little bit bigger or had come under a different angle, it might have actually hit the Earth and, not leave 1,600 people injured, but actually kill, more than that.
Wow.
And that was just 2 years ago. And then there's the 1908 event in Russia also, where this meteor exploded in the sky and 800 square kilometers of trees were just, knocked over like they were toothsticks.
I know. I mean, I'm just laughing because you look at these trees and they're so big, but there's something bigger than trees, you just never know, we're compared to, us compared to them, we're just like a grain of sand. We're just like a speck, which is just fascinating.
All right, so enough of plugging Randall here.
No, but I hear you, man. I really want to get into this stuff, and I bought just my journey in being a quote unquote, I guess, truther.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for new ideas. I'm a fan of the dialectic. I like talking with people with ideas and philosophies who are different than mine, even if we don't agree. And a lot of times it's really hard to find somebody to talk with or talk to, because a lot of people just want you to agree with them. And a lot of people are very uncomfortable with stepping out of the narrative that they know and like exploring other ideas, which is very interesting to me. And I've had even, thinking a lot of my friends who are, college educated would have the same kind of philosophy or interests that I have are really not, Since I've kind of been on this journey, a lot of stuff that I posted on my wall, people have just exiled me and just not been as friendly to me. Have you had that experience?
I'll be very honest with you and tell you that I've had very few friends in my life to begin with. So.
Really? Why? Why is that?
I don't accept people that easily as a friend. I hate it when Facebook use the term friend. Right? That's not a friend. A friend is someone I can trust. With $1 million. That's someone I would call a friend.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. For real, I usually say acquaintance or classmates. So in the sense of me talking about the people I went to school, I would say like classmates.
Yeah.
Not friends.
Yeah,
well,
and
I guess I've
always had this strange relationship with other human beings in that I didn't get them. I don't get why they do things, and then I stay away from them, and that's why I hardly have any friends.
Would you consider Would you consider yourself to be very awake at a quote unquote speak at an early age?
Well, no, I wasn't awake at an early age. It took 9/11 to happen for me to start doing my research. However, even at school at that young age, and the stories that I was told some of them didn't make sense to me. And I didn't accept those stories as being true. where other people would accept these stories as being true, basically committing appeal to authority, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I always kept questioning things, and you shouldn't do that, apparently.
Yeah. Did you, with your teachers?
Well, no.
Or just with your friends?
Yeah,
Like-
more with the friends.
Okay, or your,
I
your
don't think we
classmates, I
had
should
to.
say.
Yeah, in the time we went to school, I don't think it was done to question the teacher. How dare
Yeah.
you, you know?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I think, I used to be a teacher as well, and I think, as far as I can remember, I have gotten arguments with students, but I think at the time they were just being mean. But I've never gotten upset with somebody for questioning the material that I was teaching, and I hope I would like to think, and because it's been a while, that I gave them leeway to feel as honest and be honest with me as they felt they could be. But I think that I don't, or what was I going to say? I don't, I've always, especially the last few years that I was teaching, kind of waking up, I've always kind of encouraged my students to read both, or look into information outside of the information I was teaching. Because I remember teaching ESL, and
What's that?
I'm sorry, English as a second language.
Uh-huh.
So my kids, I taught at a Chinese prep school for when I came back from Taiwan. I taught there for 2 years. And I remember I was teaching, we were reading the story, and it was about the Native Americans and how they were building a railroad through the Native Americans' lands. I don't know if you know about that. A lot of the Chinese came to America to build the railroads.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about how the Native Americans would fight them, and they're like, oh, basically, here are these pesky Indians, trying to cut us down, or we're trying to build our railroad. But I'm like, but you're building a railroad like on their house. What are they supposed to do? Just kind of this arrogant, to me, Western philosophy of when you go into somebody's land and they have the nerve, quote unquote, to fight back. What do they think that they're supposed to do? Is sit there and take it? Yeah. And I was, I've talked about like how we have these movies, like amazing movies, by the way, like Gladiator and Braveheart, and you see the main character in those movies, and you look at how barbaric these people were to this character's family. And I think I remember in Gladiator, they hung his family and then burned them. That's just heinous. I can't imagine living like that, having that area. But yet, but then this character goes back for revenge against the people that did this to his family, and we cheer and we call them heroes. Yet when somebody does that, and in real life, we call them terrorists. And same thing with Braveheart. Look, I remember, I haven't seen Braveheart in a long time, but I remember there was a they slit his wife's throat or something like that. It was just terrible. And then they stretched him at the end. That's just, I don't know. So I remember being in class and talking about that and telling people, some of my kids I was teaching that, when they get into college, and that they shouldn't accept the official narrative, they should find some other sources of information in contrast with what they're being taught in school, because the winners write history, and it's important for them to have a well-rounded way of looking at things in different perspectives, and to be open-minded. I hope I impressed that upon them, because I was also very frustrated in the situation I was in. I had to teach the material that I was given, and I had to teach all of it, and I rarely had time to add my own, material. Every once in a while, So it sucks. A lot of teachers don't want to be teaching what they're teaching. A lot of teachers are also just as frustrated and feel just as imprisoned as the students.
Yeah. Hey, it's top of the hour almost.
Okay.
Should we play some of the music that you?
Yeah. Whatever one you want to play first. It's up to you. I'll let you pick.
All right, hold
There are
on.
two.
Let me see. This here. Put up the volume. I'm totally unprofessional. I don't have anything resembling a studio or whatever.
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
So, 3 minutes 16 this is, and we'll be back after the break. You guys, we're gonna play some music. We'll have to be quiet for Virstyne, okay?
Okay.
All right. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. I hope the sound is okay. Should be okay. You may have to turn up the volume a bit. Hold on. 1 second, guys. Music from Virstyne Henry. Here we go.
I'm gonna leave you, no matter what you say. I bet you never thought it would end this way. I'm finally gonna be.
Wow. Can you hear me, Virstyne? That's odd.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
All right, something went very, very wrong here. I must have fracked something up because I'm trying to learn to use Audacity as a tool to record Skype conversations because I want to have some guests on, but they don't have the time to come on live, so I have to record it, right?
Yeah, I got you.
And so that's why I can't even play a song now anymore, apparently, because I messed with the settings.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. It's no problem. You know what? They can go to the website and they can if you go to the music page, you can just listen to them for free. So I think how one is free download if you want to actually download it and take it with you. The first one is free, and then 2 are 99 cents. But you can. I'm still letting people listen to the whole thing, so you can just listen to all the songs for free if you want.
Wow.
So it's not a big deal.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I mean I can continue talking. I'm enjoying our conversation. It's not a big deal.
Welcome back, everybody. This is UCY.
Were we on air?
Yeah.
That was our break. You had it behind the scenes.
Oh, stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a podcast, so I understand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's okay. I totally know. I remember one time we interviewed Rob Schneider, and I was probably one of the biggest people we had on our show, and we were having technical problems. The first time that we had major technical problems was when we had Rob Schneider on. I was like, great. We talk, and we pre-recorded. We always record, pre-record because of our schedules, and he talked for like 15 minutes, and we're like, yeah, can we start over? We didn't get anything of what he said. He was very gracious, and he was like, sure. And then it sucks because I had to end up hanging up because I was having terrible connection from my end. I think that's what it was. And then my co-host ended up interviewing him, so I didn't get to talk to him as much as I wanted to. But
yeah.
Oh, I don't even know if you know. I'm saying Rob Schneider. Do you know Rob Schneider?
Nope, not heard of him.
You're like, yeah, your guest could probably type in Rob Schneider and see. He's a comedian, and he was on. Have you ever seen I'm so sorry because I keep thinking all this American stuff. Have you seen Have you heard of Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, he was. I don't think he's on anymore, but he used to be on Saturday Night Live.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was, and then he graduated. He does movies and stuff now. So he's a comedian, and anyway, so that was probably the biggest person that we had on, and we were freaking out. Like we're typing, teacher like, oh God, no, like trying to keep it cool while the recording is going, but my co-host and I were just flipping out. We're like, today, all day is not today. So just to just to help make you feel a little better, don't worry about it. I've totally been there.
Yeah. Oh, damn it! Now something starts running.
Yeah, I know, but that happens, and you just gotta be. I guess what they say is like the real sign of a professional is not that you don't make mistakes; it's just like how you know how to cover them or deal with them.
Right. Hey, I heard you were in the beginning of the event. I mentioned Indian philosophy, and you said you were just starting to dig into that. Is that correct?
Yeah, like I don't really know that much about it. Like I can't speak on that. I wish I did. But I know I'm really looking at mantras right now, because I'm trying to figure out a way to stay focused because I feel like I haven't really found my focus until now. I've been kind of all over the place.
All right, I would not suggest mantras for that.
Meditation?
That would probably be better. Yeah.
I have been meditating. Like I've been waking up about meditating for the past few weeks for 20 minutes, and that's helped a lot.
Yeah. But if you want, I can tell you something about that, because that's one of my research areas.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, the main thing you want to read if you want to study Indian philosophy is the Bhagavad Gita. Have you ever heard of that?
I have that. I haven't read.
You have that.
I have a list. I have my biggest addiction is buying books and not reading them. I mean, I read them, but I buy them faster than I can read them. So I actually got the Bhagavad Gita at a used, I got it really cheap. Like it was at a garage sale or something.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, but I've heard of it, so.
All right, so this is a story about a battle that took place, depending on who you believe, 5,000 to 7,000 years ago. And it explains about 5 brothers having a war with family relatives, 100 of them. It's about the claim of land, and the 100 brothers will not budge, and so the 5 brothers, which can also be seen as 5 senses that you have, your ears, eyes, touch, smell, and so on. And so it's an allegorical story. Yeah, you shouldn't take this literally. What they espouse there in India, a lot of people, like in Western society, take their sacred writings literally. Right, like people do with the Bible. Same goes for the Bhagavad Gita. It is like a Bible, but if you would compare both of them as a mirror, I would say that the Bhagavad Gita is a clear mirror, and the Bible is a mirror that has a lot of dust on it.
Yeah.
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 So the Bhagavad Gita, if you've read that and you understood more or less what's being said there, then you can read the Bible and see the different things in the Bible that are also there in the Bhagavad Gita. And the thing that hasn't been put back in the Bible is the idea of reincarnation, which comes back in the Bhagavad Gita a lot, actually. Their whole philosophy is based on the fact that a soul does not die.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the main philosophical axioms that you need to take with you if you want to get an understanding of how their philosophy works. Is that you are a part of God, whatever God is. In this case, they will say Krishna or Vishnu or Brahma or Shiva or you know. There's a whole lot of them.
So they're polytheistic, but they is like Krishna the main god? Is there a main god as Zeus is in Greek?
Well, yeah, one cult will
mythology?
say that. Yeah, one cult will say that. Another cult will say no, it's Vishnu. You know, so it's kind of hard to say, but yeah, they do have this idea of a top god, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
This top god even created the god that made our universe. See, the god that made our universe is Brahma, but Brahma is the first living being in a universe that doesn't have anything in it. It's an empty universe in the mythology that they present in their creation mythology. It's this super being, if you want to call it Krishna or Vishnu. He's dreaming himself into universes filled with water for half of it, and he's lying there in the water dreaming up more universes within universes, and at some point from his navel grows a lotus flower upon which Brahma, the first living being, outside of God, so to speak, but also inside, is born, and he's there on the top of this lotus, and he's really confused because he doesn't know anything yet. He still has to learn what reality is and how things work. And out of fear, he starts climbing down and encounters the sea, and you know, there's nothing there, so he goes back up again and tries to look inside for answers. Like you said just like 20 minutes ago, right?
Yeah.
And that's where he finds, quote-unquote, God, so to speak, and he gets instructions on how to create the universe so that more living beings can reincarnate into this kalpa, as they call it, right? A universe has a time span, and this whole thing is called a kalpa, which is divided into different yugas, which are like eras of time. And the funny thing is, in these eras of time, you come across numbers like 4, 3, 2, 0, 0, 0 that seem to tie to things like music, because music has if you want to ask some musicians, they say that 440 is not actually the correct hertz. It should be 432 hertz. Have you ever heard of that?
I have. I don't really understand that as much, but I have heard of that. Yes.
Yeah, and that number 432 comes back a lot because 432,000 is also the radius of the sun in miles.
Oh, wow.
And if you divide 432 by 4, you get 108, and the radius of the moon is 1,080 miles. So there you have that 108 again. This 108 number comes back a lot. There's also 108 beads on a japamala that these Indian philosophers and believers use to chant their mantras on. You see?
That's fascinating. You know, this ties into, I know sailors would use the the constellations as a way of navigating their ships.
Yes, they did.
So they, I mean, this was wide before we had computers and all this advanced technology. This is what I'm talking about when I said at the first hour that I feel like we've devolved because we become so dependent on things, instead of having technology within ourselves. We're so dependent on external forces or gadgets to help us, with things, whether it's navigate, whether it's even certain medicines, or it's fascinating. It really is. I can't wait to delve deeper into this stuff. Well, I have a question. Do you know about Kali?
Kali?
Kali? Kale, the Kali. Isn't that one of the gods? Isn't that what's outside of CERN?
No,
Kali?
that was Shiva.
Shiva. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that I saw that video and I commented on it in the chat room where it was posted that if this was real, then the Kali is indeed the god that should have been standing there, but it was Shiva. And Shiva is not one that is happy with human sacrifices, you see.
So Shiva is the one that's in front of the CERN, okay.
Yeah, that's Shiva, and he's one of a trinity, like you have in Christianity, you have this trinity.
There's one in...
Yeah, same goes for India.
Oh, wow.
You have the Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva trinity, where Brahma stands for the beginning, the creation, and Vishnu stands for holding it all together, letting it be in this moment. And then Shiva is known as the destructor, the destroyer. He destroys everything at the end of the universe. When the time for this universe is done, Shiva comes and he destroys everything.
So Shiva, so that's why I've seen and read some opinions about Shiva being at CERN, and that's why, because he's a destroyer of worlds.
I don't know. They got this apparently as a gift from the Indian government, and there's no dark, occult, hidden meaning behind this, as far as I can see. What I know from Shiva is one of the nicer guys, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah, he's even nicer than Krishna, because Krishna is a warmonger. Shiva, I don't know him as a warmonger,
Got you. Okay. No, that's just interesting. I just I was just curious. I also, do you know anything about the Thuggy cult? Have you heard anything about that?
Again?
The Thuggy cult?
Thuggy cult?
Yeah, Thuggee. Thuggy cult?
Thuggee? No, never heard of it.
Two G's.
Yeah,
Thuggee.
No, I've heard of Thule, but not what you mentioned, no.
A Thuggy? Okay. No, I was just curious. I was getting a little dark there for a minute, but I haven't been, since you know far more about Indian culture than I seem to know. I was just curious because I would like to know more about it. I've heard I was fascinated by you ever watch the Indiana Jones movies?
Sure, yeah.
You ever see the second one, the Temple of Doom, where they were in India?
I must have seen it, but it was so long ago that I can hardly remember. Yeah.
They were in India, and they stumble upon this village, and the head of the village asks them to go to this castle and retrieve their children, because all their children have been stolen to work as slaves, to look for these stones.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go, and they go to this castle, and everything seems to be nice, and there's a prince there that welcomes them, and they have some British people there, and they're just sitting at the table and having a conversation, and they're like, oh, these we were wrong about these people, and I don't know why they're in such an uproar, and I don't think these people are bad. So they go to their rooms that night, and people try and kill him. and they end up going underground and find out that there's this cult that goes and meets underground, and even some of the people at the dinner table that they were with were actually at this cult, but they have no knowledge of it because they're like under some kind of mind control. Anyway, to make a long story short, this was supposedly based on a real cult in India called the Thuggee cult that was around years ago. And Indiana Jones was a lot of that stuff was taken from Gunga Din. And Gunga Din, the movie Gunga Din, they reference this cult as well. Yeah. So I've done some searches online about it, but I haven't been able to find that much. But I would like to know more about it. You know.
Yeah, I'm sure there are these in the fringes of these societies. There are these cults, especially when it comes to Kali. I know they exist.
So
they
Kali-
worship. They are Kali worshippers, and they can do brutal things. Yeah, just out of their religion.
So Kali was kind of like the darker one, the darker.
Kali is one of the darker
figures.
It's a she.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, this is why I can't talk about Indian philosophy because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I'm doing this from memory, but I think it's a she.
Okay, I think you are right, Kali. Okay.
Yeah, and somebody just pasted a link of apparently that is Kali with 10 arms and a whole lot of symbols in her hand, like a sword and a disc and a trident and a mace and something that looks like a torch, and she's standing on top of Shiva as if she had just defeated Shiva. Yeah.
That's great. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know too much about her, unfortunately, because when I did ask, when I was in these circles about her, they told me, no, you need to know about Krishna, you know.
Like, oh, was it like Harry Potter and Voldemort? They're like, don't bring up her name.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. Yeah.
You can't mention her name. It was like, whoa.
It was a real cult, so.
But that's the thing that makes you want to learn more. When people say you can't or you shouldn't, that's the thing that drives you to want, you know, which is funny. Have you been to India?
No, unfortunately not.
I want to go so bad.
There are two countries I still want to go to. I want to go back to the United States and, go my own way instead of being there as a 14, 15-year-old.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I want to go to India at some point. Sorry, what?
So that sucks because you got to do what your parents say. Or
yeah, exactly. And I even had to go to school there, which was really sucky. So.
Oh, wow. Where did you... So you were in school in LA?
No, not... well, we went to LA because we were, quote-unquote, living in Canada, in Vancouver, near Vancouver, in British Columbia. But because my dad didn't want to immigrate from Holland to Canada, we stepped over the Canadian-US border every 6 months and then got a new visa for Canada, right?
Yeah. Visa runs. Become visa runs.
Yep. So that's how we got into Los Angeles at some point, because also apparently an aunt of mine was living there that I never heard of before.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I've been to the Netherlands on my way to the Czech Republic, but I was physically there, but I've never got off the plane. We just sat, but I would really love to come to the Netherlands. Yeah. Sure.
So, do you mind if I give you a warning?
No,
regarding this Indian philosophy?
No, not at all. Yeah, please.
So I told you that the basis for their philosophy is that a soul does not die, right? Mm-hmm. And this can lead to very very difficult ethical questions, because, like I said, this Krishna, he's a warmonger. And in the Bhagavad Gita, he's talking to Arjuna to get him to fight. And he uses the following argument, which I think is very dangerous. He says, well, what does it matter if you think that a soul cannot die? then what's wrong with killing these people? Because you can't really kill them anyway. And he says, if you look at these people as just a bunch of chemicals, like our Western society does, pure materialism, then the soul doesn't exist. So why not kill? You see? You see how dangerous this philosophy can be?
Yeah.
All right, so just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, but I totally get. But if you believe in reincarnation, they also believe in karma and energy, and whatever you put out comes back to you. So if you kill somebody, and then you're going to, it's going to affect you, right? By their philosophy.
That's their idea. I have a lot of trouble with that also, because I see people like Clinton still walking around, and like Kissinger still walking around. Do these people seem like they have bad karma on their shoulders?
Yeah, they never die, dude. Like
exactly.
They
right?
live forever. It's like, how are you kidding me? Like, how is the queen still a million years old and
yeah.
A lot of bad things,
They don't seem like people that have bad karma to work with,
Well, I don't know. You never know. We had do you know Richard Grove?
Yeah. Tragedyandhope.com.
Yeah, we interviewed him a while ago. And I remember like, I don't know, I heard him on another interview, and he was like, "Yeah, I have like sympathy for some of these people," and so we interviewed him. We're like, "Oh, like why would you have sympathy? They're like the most horrible people like ever." And he was like, "Well, think about it. If you're born into these families, the abuse must be like horrific, So I'm not like justifying anything that they do by any means, but putting myself in their shoes, just trying to think about what would my life be like if I was born into a family like that's that famous, where even if you wanted to get out, you couldn't, because anywhere that you go on the planet, people know who you are. Like if you're a Bush twin, but how evil that your father and grandfather is, maybe this is one of the reasons they're alcoholics. So just because you have money and power doesn't necessarily mean that you have, I don't think that you have good karma.
Yeah.
I don't.
But that's the basic idea indeed anyway, that they say that when you are born in a situation that suits your karma, right? To give you an example, when I was in this cult and I asked them a certain question, and they would sometimes reply, "Well, you can really see that you were a monk in a previous life and that you now deserve to be born in this rich Western society." You see? That's how they think.
Yeah, that's a little far-fetched.
Yeah, exactly.
So a bit of bullshit, especially,
that's the kind of traps you need to watch out for when you're studying things like karma. Karma means action. It's a Sanskrit word, and it literally means action, not reaction.
Got you. Yeah, but that's the thing, with a lot of New Age groups that are going on. Like, I can take some of that stuff and run with it, but some of that stuff is bullshit, because they use that they use people's naivety, or how do you say it? Naive? I can't think of the word.
Naivety or something like that.
Naivete? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm a teacher. Don't ever tell me this. Usually, though, I'm not afraid to admit it when I don't know something. I would go and get a dictionary and just be like, guys, I don't know. I have to look it up. But anyway, it's funny. I kind of got more interested in, Eastern philosophy through New Age stuff. But it's weird because I could see that some of the stuff they were teaching were good, but I can see through the bullshit. So I wouldn't really follow the New Age crowd totally. Mm-hmm. But I would just be like, oh, well, that makes sense. But the thing that you were saying about the monk and I'm like, I would see that as like, that's bullshit,
Yeah.
That's like, I don't know. It sucks but the thing I haven't personally been in a cult, but I I research cults a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But the thing I find is that they have to tell you some truth. They can't just lie all the time. They can't just lie through and through. They have to give you nuggets of truth. You know?
Yeah, I guess that's what attracted me in the first place. When I started reading the Bhagavad Gita, I wanted to find out what it is if you put this into practice. And these people were doing that. And so I joined their community, so to speak, and I did all the things as they did. And very quickly I rose in their society. They gave me all kinds of new names, and they told me that I had to be an example, for other people to follow. And I was like, wow, I'm just, I hardly know what I'm doing myself, because I was just checking out what's going on there. I was like 18, 19 years old or something like that.
Wow. They love bomb you. That's how. There's a really. I'm gonna see if I can find the clip for you, but it's a comedy. It's a parody, or I should say maybe satire on. It's called like How to Create Your Own Cult. Have you seen that? It's like a short. No. It's short, like maybe 10-minute film, talking about how to create your own cult. But it's so true. Like, they're talking about like basically surround yourself with people that are naive and hunger for knowledge, and tell them some nuggets of truth, but then like lie to them, and then like shame, like bring them up, and then like shame them. And but it's funny. It's not funny, but I'm saying this video explains it in a very comic way, but it's very, very true. Just based on my research, not experience, so I'm not saying that my research trumps your experience at all, but I'm just saying from the little that I know about how cults work.
Yeah.
And I did a little research, in the past about this, because there are a couple of groups that I wanted to join. And I wanted to kind of figure out how to distinguish between some, group of people that were really progressive and for it, and distinguish between whether they're a cult or not. So, especially growing up in LA, and Scientology is like all over the place, I've always been like afraid I was going to get sucked into a cult.
Yeah.
Now I'm not afraid anymore, because I understand how it works. But that was kind of like a fear of mine.
Yeah.
And I had a college roommate that was born into Scientology, and she would tell me all these crazy stories. So it's like, oh my God, I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking how long you were in the cult?
Well, I was there for, I think it must have been about 8 weeks. And then, as I said, I was rising in their hierarchy for reasons I had no clue of, because, like I said, I didn't understand what I was doing at that moment. I was just researching some of these old scriptures that they had lying around there, right?
Yeah.
And they told me that I had now become Acharya or something like that. I don't remember the exact term. That I needed different clothes, and that I should cut my hair. And I was like, no way, I'm not going to do that. Okay, well then you're gone, out of here. That's their way. That was their way.
Wow. 8 weeks is not. There are people that have been in cults for years, so, and you're lucky to have only been in it for like 8 weeks. That have been in cults for years, and then have lost all their money, that have lost their connections with their family. It's really sad and disturbing. But it's funny. A common misconception about people that join cults is that they're not intelligent, and most people that join cults are. I think they are really intelligent, because they're questioning. They're looking for something outside of society. They do have an open mind. I don't think it's really a matter of intelligence, from my opinion. From what I don't know, because the people would say, I've heard people say stuff like, all those, like, especially being in LA, like Scientology is such a huge thing. And a lot of people that I've met that have been in Scientology, I would never categorize them as unintelligent people. But it seems like what they do is
the cult leaders or the cult people, they seek people who have a void that they're trying to that's fill. And they kind of figure out what that void is, and then they try and fill it or convince them that they're filling it, and that's what keeps them attached.
Huh.
You know?
I also think they're trying to create a void by telling devotees and people like that they need to sever their ties with family. You heard that a lot too, right?
You're right. They create the void, but then they're the ones that fill the void. So when that whole it's like they rip the chunk out of their soul, but then they're the ones that fill it.
Yeah.
So the person keeps coming back to them.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you know, a lot of people, I think, or from what I've seen, from what I've observed, you know, from the people that I've talked to, seem to already have something that they are seeking or missing that's not fulfilled, and that's why they're, you know, cult people are able to get their hooks into them. You know, whether it's have you ever watched any of the Scientology movies? There've been a couple that have been out, like documentaries.
Nope, I haven't. Not
There's
interested.
No, okay.
Go ahead. No, tell. It's okay.
Yeah, there's one called Going Clear that just came out a few months ago. Not a couple months, more than that. A few months ago, and there have been some prominent people that were in Hollywood that actually left the Church of Scientology, and one guy was called Paul Haggis, and he was a screenwriter, and he wrote two. I think he won 2 Oscars, or he wrote 2 that were Oscar nominated, and then one got like one. Anyway, he was an Oscar winning. I'll just say he was an Oscar winning screenwriter. Had been in Scientology for years, and what he was saying, he got into it is because he was having trouble with a woman, and he goes to the cult, or he gets, you know, introduced to this, and he was like, they were like, oh, we can help you with that, you know, and to some extent they did help him with his communication skills, and he was able to get better with that. And because, you know, as you rise too, especially like in the Hollywood environment, they're like, oh, we can get you TV shows. Oh, we can get you connections into the industry, and we can do this for you. We do that for you. And to a certain degree, they do. And then that's kind of what draws you in. And then, you know, a lot of people, how they work is they have like a tier system. So they'll say, oh, well, if you want to get to the next tier, you have to take this course, and it's this much money. And then keep going up and up and up and up and up. And then they have people do crazy stuff like saying, I'm not kidding, I know this sounds far-fetched, but billion-year contracts. I swear, billion-year contracts. It's true. And, you know, a lot of times too, or they'll get a lot of kids that have come, you know, that are homeless on the streets. They'll give them a place to stay. I mean, it's you know, they're basically just leeches. They find energy where they can suck it off of people. Whether it's somebody that wants to be famous, or somebody that's having an issue with somebody that they're in love with, or somebody that needs a place to stay. You know, they're vampire. They're energy vampires, basically. Yeah. You know.
There's the reason why I got interested in these ancient philosophies, I guess, is because my left brain couldn't handle it, so to speak, but I knew there was something to it, right? I was when I started reading that stuff, I was very materialistic, and I had
Did
to
you
get
have a 9 to 5?
Sorry, what?
Did you have like a 9 to 5 job where you like?
No. I was working in actually it was an 11 to 11 job, day by day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was fantastic, to be honest with you. I was working in a Horeca? That's not English. That's Dutch.
It's
a
okay.
place where you can buy coffee or a 7-Up or a toasty or something to eat, something like that.
Like a convenience store or a cafe?
Something like that. Yeah.
You sit down, or is it like more like a store?
You sit down.
Okay, like a cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we opened at 11 in the morning, and I closed the door at 11 in the evening. Every day. And but it wasn't like filled to the rim every day. So, there was lots of time to read. And so...
yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did you have time to kind of do stuff on the side where you were just
exactly, yeah.
That's
and
good.
So one of the verses that struck me as being very important is a verse about the elements. And I had come across these elements before in Greek mythology. And these elements were earth, water, fire, and air. You must have heard of these before,
yes.
I'm guessing, right? Now guess what? This verse from the Bhagavad Gita, translated into English, starts with those 4 elements. But it continues. It says earth, water, fire, air, ether. Those are the 5 elements that actually tie to your 5 senses.
Ether? Wow.
Yeah, ether. It's
Okay.
the fifth what they call gross material element, but there's 3 more, which they call less gross, I guess, finer material elements. And they are mind, intelligence, and ego. And these 8 elements together form existence or the universe, or those are the building blocks, so to speak, of which everything is made. And there's a lot of things in there. For instance, if you look at the first 3, you get earth, water, fire, or earth, water, air. And the earth is like a solid, and the water is like a fluid, and the air is like a gaseous thing, see?
Yeah.
And so when you start from earth, and the further you go in this series, earth, water, air, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, the water is the most dense. And the further you go, the less dense the energies become, because they are seen as energies or elements, of which the material universe is made. And I wanted to mention this because you used the word intelligence just about 10 minutes ago, and the Indian philosophers view intelligence as, the best I could describe it, is as something floating around, and that you can actually make contact with it or not, right?
So it's kind of like outside of the mind, like the consciousness. It's outside, like kind of like the collective unconscious.
No. Actually,
Okay.
those are the 8 that I gave you are only the gross material elements. Above that, and this comes back in the same chapter, there's the energy of the soul, which is made of a totally different kind of energy. Nothing like earth, water, fire, or intelligence, or even ego.
Oh, wow.
See, those are all considered material. And then above that, as they call it, is a totally different kind of energy, which they call absolute. And these energies, these absolute energies, are called Sat, Sit, Ananda, for instance. There's your Trinity again, Sat, S-A-T, Sit, C-I-T, and Ananda, A-N-A-N-D-A. You can look those words up. Those are the properties given for these absolute energies. And they are like eternity, blissfulness, all-knowingness, all those kinds of things. And those are the elements that make up your soul, so to speak. And it's of an eternal nature. And so there's a strict difference. They see like 2 worlds out there. There's the world where God and his angels, or his souls, live. And there's the material world, where we all live. And so they make this distinction between these two worlds. Basically, Plato also did that later, with his Platonic forms, which seem to exist in some kind of alternate reality.
Really?
Right?
Oh, that's so fascinating. I know nothing. You know,
Oh,
the more you learn, the more you figure out. You're like, God, I don't know anything. so much to learn. This is true, though.
Yeah, I had that too when I was listening to Randall Carlson and listening to him explain, for instance, the relationship that a cube has with the orbit of the Earth, and I was like, wow, how can this even be? You know, this is so amazing, and you see indeed that there's so much more to learn. You know.
Who is that guy? He has a really interesting name. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's like Druvano Malicek, or he does. I've seen some lectures with him too, talking about like sacred geometry. I think he wrote like the Secret of the Flower of Life, or
the Flower of Life. The yin and yang symbol also ties to that. The yin and yang symbol is actually made of 3 triangles next to each other, and then you wipe out the top and the bottom half of the center triangle, of the center circle, and then you're left with the yin yang.
Oh wow!
It's 2 circles within a circle, with the bottom half of the left circle and the top half of the right circle, the inner circles. If you take them out, that's what you get. You get the yin-yang symbol with the dots being the center of the smaller circle.
Wow, I'm gonna have to really start drawing some of this stuff to really internalize it, though. You know.
Yeah.
But I've seen people I've seen lectures, or I've seen people draw sacred geometry online, and I'm like, oh my God, like I never thought of it that way, and just how, you know. Especially too, since I'm learning to, I mean, I can draw a little bit, but I'm learning to get more refined and better with my drawing. So, you know, I see how that not only will help with drawing, but just so many other areas of my life.
Have you ever heard of the golden ratio?
Yeah.
This is also known as phi, Phi.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you another link. Did you know that you can just take any 2 points? Any 2 points, right? Then there's a line between those 2 points. And all you need is a compass to find the golden ratio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, indeed. It's from a website called maths.surrey.com. No, not surreyac.uk. I'll paste it here for you. On the left side there, it gives you an explanation of how to do that, with an exercise for you to also. Because Randall, he's explaining this, and he's using a straight edge with a 90-degree angle to make the 90-degree angle that is needed, but he gives you as an exercise that you can actually do this without the straight edge. And you need to figure out how to do this with compasses alone. And you can do it with just a few axioms that he's given you in front of the video where he explains these kinds of things. So I find that very strange, you know, that you can just draw a line, arbitrary line, right? Arbitrary. Then you take your compass and you find the middle point of that line. And from that middle point of that line, you can then probably via a viscous, there is this fish-like shape that appears when you draw 2 circles.
The vesica pipe.
Vesica viscous, right? You need to create that to probably something like that to find this straight edge, and from the point to the straight edge, and then from the straight edge back to point A, and then you draw another line with your compass, and poof, you've got the exact phi. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. How can that even be? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I really have had a serious aversion to math.
Yeah.
And my brother is the opposite. Like, my brother is like a math whiz. He went to Berkeley and majored in math. He's totally like, math is his homeboy. Like, but for me, I like I said, I had an aversion to math. And now I'm really interested of like getting rid of that and erasing that. And I feel, I'm a little bit like angry because I feel like if math was taught to me this way, then and sacred geometry when I was a kid, I think more people for sure would definitely have an affinity for math.
Sure, absolutely.
And wouldn't be so. A lot of people are turned off by it, or frightened by it, or intimidated by it. And I think had we had these teachings at a younger age and understood why, and how this stuff relates to us, because I think that was my big problem, is that I didn't understand how math related to me. I just felt like it was torture. I'm like, why do I have to learn all these formulas? This is stupid. I can do basic math, like I can, add, subtract, multiply, divide. I can do fractions. I can do the math that relates to me, but all the other stuff, I didn't understand, how and why I was doing this. I really thought it was torture.
Yeah.
And
It was for me too. When later I started digging a little bit into numerology, and you get these explanations for numbers like 1 is unity, 2 is the first division, 3, I don't remember exactly, 4 is enclosure, 5 is life, 6 is matter, and so you get all these different kinds of properties attached to numbers. And that's another way of looking at math. Kabbalah is one of the things that comes to mind also.
I'm sorry, say that again. What comes to mind? Kabbalah?
Kabbalah, yeah. Have you ever heard of Kabbalah?
No.
That's a Jewish system.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's different accents and different listening. Kabbalah. That's what I'm used to hearing.
Yeah, it's
sorry.
my Dutch accent. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's cool. It's no worries.
Yeah, they number 1 to 9, then 10 to 90, and then 100 to 400 for their symbols, right? They're the ancient Jewish symbols that we can't type on our keyboard.
Oh wow!
You know what
okay.
I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
When you write Jewish, there's these strange forms. They don't look like A's or B's or C's. Or
what do you mean, like Hebrew? Is that what you're trying to say?
Is that Hebrew, right?
Like the language, like the written language.
There's 22 letters in the Hebrew.
Yes, Hebrew.
Alphabet, right. But those 22 have numbers. 1 to 9, 10 to 90, and 100 to 400. So each letter gets a number.
Oh, okay.
And that's how they... Hebrew wasn't the only language that did that, by the way. There were other languages as well that were using these symbols not only as a letter, but also as a number.
So we don't do that? We can't do that with the Roman alphabet?
You can do it in English. If you want to check that out, I suggest you look up Marty Leeds 33. Marty Leeds 33. If you type that into Google or his YouTube.
Martyleeds?
Yes, Marty, and then Leeds, Leeds 33. He has a lot of stuff on numbers.
Okay.
And he explains a little bit about this Jewish Hebrew thing also. But he's specifically about the English language. It's called Gematria. And it's our alphabet has 26 letters. He divides them up into 2 times 13, because he says as above, so below.
Okay.
And so you get ABC to M. And
So wait, as above, so below, like macrocosm, microcosm kind of deal?
yeah, that idea
Okay.
comes back there also. The
Okay.
fractal, the
Okay.
fractal qualities, that
Okay.
you find. That also comes back in geometry, by the way.
Okay.
But so you got A to M and N to Z in a row, and beneath that you got the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then again the S below, so above principle, going back from 7 to 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so you get these, if you put these three rows beneath each other, you can see what number ties to what letter. And then you find out that things like Jupiter, which is also known as the black sun, if you translate Jupiter into these number and black sun into these number, you get the same number. And so he's tying all of these words together with numbers and showing you links that you've never seen before.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fascinating. Yeah, I can't wait to
Virstyne,
do.
I want
Time's
to
up.
I want to give out your website once more.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Doing it this time because we only have like 4 minutes left or something.
Yeah.
It's
do
Virstyne Henry.com. VirstyneHenry.com, guys. Check it out.
Yeah, and it's my two grandmothers, Virginia and Ernestine. So you can remember it that way. Vir from Virginia and Ernestine. So that's how I got my name.
Cool.
And yeah. So
so I wanted to thank you very much before the outro cuts us off.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It was a really great conversation. I actually am walking away with knowledge I wasn't expecting to learn, which I'm always grateful for. I love learning stuff. So.
Yeah, me too. And I like sharing stuff. So.
Yeah, I like sharing and learning.
Yeah.
Different ideas. We have to.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things we didn't mention, like vaccines, and so if you ever want to come back, just let me know, and we'll get you on air, okay?
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm down to do that.
Boy, cool.
Okay.
Are you still in touch with
April?
April, yeah?
Yeah, I do. We talked at least once a week. She's just she's busy trying to heal her son with autism right now, and she's homeschooling her kids right now. So she's we've just taken different paths. Like I'm doing music, and she's working on her family or working with her family. So it's been real time consuming. But yeah, we talk at least I would say about once a week or so.
Cool. Yeah, it's good to hear.
Yeah.
Any idea on how her son is doing at the moment?
Yeah, they're still struggling. It's still they haven't made as much progress as they hope. So this is one of the reasons too. She's going full time and just seeing, trying to do as much as she can with that situation. Yeah, but I'll tell her that you said hi. I think she'll be happy to know that.
Yeah, please do.
I will. For sure. And I'll let her listen to the interview. So,
all right,
thank you so much for having me. It was lots of fun, and thank you to your guest. Bye, everybody. Nice being on the show.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Okay.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody in the chat room. I can still do this before we get cut off. Captain Gringo, Dan, Grammy Mary, Grump, Joe Friday, Jules, Shirley You Just, Vince, and 3 Anons. Thanks for listening, everybody. Check out the website, ucy.tv. If you haven't noticed, there weren't any ads, so please scroll to the bottom and find the donate button and help us, help Jules out to pay for the free airtime that we get here. If you only got like $2 or something, that would still be something. A couple of people, filling in $2, this can help. So thanks a lot, everybody. I'll speak to you guys next week. Take care.
Inherently and historically.
See you later.
The secret oaths and the secret proceedings.
I think a new world order is emerging.
An inside job? How dare you? How dare you?
To create, so to say, mass-produced models of human beings arranged in some kind of a scientific process.
My name is S.M. Gibson, and I am the host of